to be given this up, to be given this privilege. Okay, so basically, hi design comrades. My name is Timothy Exodus again, right? I'm a UX designer, right? And of course, as you have heard, it's all started from graphics. Now, I'm in UX design, right? So many things happened, right? From graphics to brands, from code to UX. So my journey basically is a testament to the power of adaptability and passion, right? So let's continue shaping pixels into narratives, code into solution, and interaction into memories that lingers for lifetime, right? So cheers to crafting a digital world that that is as captivating as it is functional. Okay, let's dive straight to business. Now, today we're going to be talking about the principle of simplicity in UX design, right? Now, one of the things I want you to know is that the faster user hits their goals with your product, okay, the faster profit comes in, right? A lot of people say that UX design is all about the users, right? But I mean, that's to an extent not true. There is business goals, right? Stakeholders needs to be happy, they need to make money, right? And how you make money in the UX world is through happy users. Okay. Now, this is really what inspired the idea of simplicity because let's just move forward. You find out real soon. Okay. So now the
Sorry,
goal
sorry,
is
sorry, Timothy. We can't see your whole screen, your whole slide. We're just seeing the.
that's weird. Sorry. Uh I see now. Can you see now?
Yes, yes, we can.
All right. So I'm sorry if you did not see it from the start, right? Okay. Straight to business. We're talking about the principles of simplicity in UX design. Okay. So as I said earlier, the faster user hits their goals with your product, okay, the faster profit comes in, right? As I mentioned again earlier, that people normally say user experience is all about the user, and I I kind of like disagree with that because there is business goals, right? And stakeholders need to be happy, right? Business partners need to be happy, right? So how you make money pretty much is with happy users, okay? That's what it is, right? So you make money with happy users. The faster they can hit their goals with your product, the faster profit comes in. Okay. So the goal is to not make them think too much, right? Of course, don't suffocate your users. Now let's connect the dots. Okay. But before I want to before I start talking about the principle of UX design, I want to break everything down so I can carry you along. Okay. Now, the definition of simplicity, literally, right, is the quality or condition of being easy to understand or do, right? Easy to understand or do. You see that? Now, let's talk about UX design. Now, UX in itself, UX refers to the overall experience, right, while interacting with the product. So it's every way tied to the user's emotion, right? A feeling of frustration or satisfaction. Okay. Now, this is an example, right? Say you mistakenly clicked the wrong button and you subscribed for Nogari for a whole semester as a student. Now, that's pretty annoying, right? Or you borrowed a, a loan seamlessly from Credit Direct. Now, you see the emotion is different. This guy is sad, and for some reason, this image is not showing this guy is happy. So it's a game of emotion, basically. UX is a game of emotions, right? Now, um, um, but you can't really talk about UX design in entirety without mentioning UI design, which which of course user interface, which is the visual representation of digital products. Okay, an example would be text, shape, color, and so on, right? Basically, elements you can touch, right? And you can mostly see, okay? Visual representation. Okay, now, for example, what you have in your screen is a proof that that UI in every way influences the user experience. Okay, now I am literally struggling to see the text, right? And now, and you see these two buttons, they are close together. I'm not sure if I'm going to mistakenly click no or yes. And if you see the color, there's something wrong about the color, right? The color psychology there is it's supposed to be inverse. I'm going to explain that very quick. Now, this is what you just saw. Now you can see the color is brighter, okay, and the buttons are far from each other, right? Now you can say no don't with green color and yes delete as danger, right? What you're about to do, just know it's coming with the consequences. Now, so you see how UI has been able to influence the UX. Okay, a normal user would see this and struggle and feel frustration not to be able to glance this, to grab this just by looking at it once. Remember, the goal is to not make users think too much. Okay, so it's supposed to be clear, distinct as possible, right? Now, users spend a lot of time trying to figure out unnecessary complexity, unnecessarily complicated designs. Now, it's because the user mind is conditioned to reason and seek solution, right? So it is difficult to disregard the complexity of a situation. Instead, they would want to figure how to fix it, right? And they might even end up in a much more deeper problems, right? Toggling button on and off, and trying to fix a problem, right? When your design is not descriptive enough to guide them through. Okay, so like what I'm saying is that your communication has to be as effective as possible, right? Effective communication is a necessity. Now, the part you've been waiting for. Now let's talk about the 5 principles. I think 6. I kind of like added extra moving forward of how you can achieve simplicity in UX design. Number 1, affordance. Okay, now affordance. This is like a simple concept, right? It provides psychological, a useful visual cue and psychological shortcuts that helps user understand the tasks that they can carry out. Okay, so for instance, when you see a door handle, right, you assume that its function is to open a door, right? When you see a light switch, you assume it can be flicked to turn on the light. Yes? Or when you're looking at a chair, right? It can be sat on, right? Now, all these are all these are affordance, and they are extracts from Don Norman's principles, right? Now, what you need to understand is when you are designing, make sure that your design has a visual cue, right? And a psychological shortcut to help users understand the tasks they're about to carry on. Okay? Now I'm going to give an example. Now, Don Norman said something when affordance are taken advantage of, right? The users know what to do just by looking without no picture, no label or instruction needed. They just know what to do if affordance is being taken care of. Now, I'm going to show you an example. Now, there are pretty much a lot. There are like 8 type of affordance, but I kind of like explain only 2 here. You can do like a further research. Okay. Number 1 is explicit affordance. Now, explicit affordance basically are obvious perceptual features of an item that can cue you in on how an element or how and objects can be used, right? I'm going to give you an example, a login button. Now, you see this button, it looks like a button. It looks like something that can be clickable, right? It's obvious, it's literal, it's speaking, right? Now, that's an example of explicit affordance. Now, another example, another type of affordance is hidden affordance, right? Now, this particular one, it gives Q that indicates an item function, but they're not obvious, right? It does not display anything until an action is being taken. An example of that is menu drop down. Okay, so we're going to move on to number two. Second principle is visibility. Now, a user ability to manage changes rapidly is facilitated by the visibility of hints and information, right? Now, this particular principle here supports innovation, right? As a designer, every designer, I see designers all over the place on Twitter, on Behance. Everybody is trying to be innovative, but you can't really be you can't try to be you can't be innovative, right, at the expense of your user experience or your user discomfort, right? Now, what I'm trying to say is when a designer creates anything that is different from the traditional product, right, um um there must be a visible information to allow the people to understand how to operate the innovation quickly and simply. Simple, right? So you want to give them tips, you want to give them pop-ups, you want to tell them, okay, this is click this button to do this, right? So visibility of information, it is necessary, right? Especially when you want to be innovative. I, for one, personally, when I do designs, I try to do designs out of the norms, right? I try to violate principles. I try to be innovative, right? But when I do that, I try to, drop informations and hints in my designs to help users navigate, right, easily without having to think so much. And you get to this point in the landing page and or on the app, and you're not sure because everything you're seeing there is all new to you, right? I didn't try adapting to an already existing product. I did something entirely different. But when I start giving you cues and hints that, okay, this is for this is for this is for this, I mean, sooner or later you would adapt to the product. Okay, so visibility is a crucial principle that supports innovation in design and simplicity, of course, innovation. Mapping. Now, this is pretty much uh, simple, right? Mapping are connections between user commands and the control. For example, buttons or gesture assigned to perform those commands. So I think pretty much it's just making sure that your you assign the right you assign the right commands and the you establish the right connections between your elements. So, say for example, now this here, I can click on stop sharing and it's going to stop sharing. Why? Because they've assigned a function there, right? Beyond just that, if I click on escape, all of this full screen here that is showing is going to like just exit, right? So when designing, you might as well want to map out, you might want to map commands and controls, okay, um, to help perform certain commands that make it easier for users. Okay, so the fourth principle is feedback. Feedback, and this is like I don't want to say this is like the most underrated, but it is underrated, and pretty much this in itself can determine whether your product would succeed or not. Okay, because when we talk about feedback, it is essential in development of any design, right? So make sure you don't fail to recognize the importance of user input, all right? always know and understand what users think about the product. Like an example, you can do this. We can talk about beta testing. We can talk about survey. We can talk about empathy map, right? But I mean, when what I'm going to say based on experience is, if you want to get feedback through beta testing, you make sure that it is to an extent standardized, meaning that it has undergo series of surveys. It's been influenced by a lot of surveys, empathy mapping, user journey, and so on and so forth, right? But beta testing is one where um, you can get as much feedback as as possible from your users. It's now like left to your response rate. How fast are you to respond to listening to the market so you can adapt or you can make the product better? Okay, yeah, pretty much. Number five, conceptual model, from the word conceptual, concept, model, right? So this is again another um, abstract psychological representation of how tasks should be carried out. Okay, people are conceptual. People use conceptual model subconsciously and intuitively as a way of systemizing process, right? An example of this is going to be, say, for example, I want to design a booking system, right? We all know that booking system calendar is needed, right? You need like this calendar feature to help set your date and so on and so forth, right? So the idea behind conceptual model is that you want to use you want to use representations, right? You want to use representations, conceptual representations to um, to make the users easily and intuitively adapt to a system. Okay, so I mean, I want to come into this booking system and seeing calendar, and some other stuff. I want to know what to do next. Okay, so yeah, number six, this is what the extra one I added, and it's like I later found out that it's like one of the most important, mental model, right? If we have UX designers here, we already know what this is. This is pretty much um, developing a system that adapts to already existing system, right? Which means that I'm going to give you an example. Instagram Reels, right? We have Instagram Reels, we have TikTok, we have um, YouTube, what? YouTube Shorts. Now, the mental model, or what I can perceive as a mental model in all of those apps I just mentioned, is the vertical scrolling, right? That's that gesture, having to just scroll up, come scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Now, what means that they are adapting to similar mental model. So the user would not struggle to understand what to do, right? So there's so many other examples. A cart system. I mean, you don't want to place your cart button by the bottom left. I mean, you are violating a popular established mental model that would make your users struggle and suffer. So most of the times, or some of the times, you want to make sure that you adapt to already existing mental model so your users can easily adapt. Okay, so if I'm going to read it, the term refers to when a design has been developed in a shape or form that makes it difficult to make errors, since there's little possibility for it to happen in the first place. Why? Because you've adapted to already existing system. Users know, okay, I know this is it. This guy, they are looking like Jumia. So I know how Jumia has placed their functionalities. I can easily just learn. I can adapt based on the already exist. Jumia, okay, say they adapted from Amazon, right? So on and so forth. Like, yeah, pretty much that's all there is to the principles of simplicity, right? But there are other ways you can achieve simplicity. Number one is to minimize the amount of potential error and make it as reversible as possible, right? So this is saying that when a user mistakenly say makes a mistake, right? you want that mistake to be reversible as possible. You want to be able to, I mean, a lot of system has been able to change that. I mean, we have GitHub version control system, we have Figma, we have version control system, we have so many version control systems. There are things we're going to do. Say I'm typing, for example, and I make a mistake, right? I can easily press Ctrl Z, it undoes the error for me. Like this is like examples I'm giving to you. So when a user mistakenly clicks something on your app, you want to give him a hint or an information to make sure it does not go ahead make to make errors. Okay, this is basically saying visual confirmation, right? Or journey confirmation, right? So the idea is you want to help guide the user to the point that there is minimized error. Okay, and beyond just that, you want to build a platform that does not, you don't want to risk your product having so much error. That's bad for market. That's bad for market. Okay, so another way you can minimize error is recognize the source of the mistake and devise a strategy to reduce those source. Okay, as been explained earlier. Allow for the reversal of previously taken action, right? Users should be able to undo changes. That's it, right? They should be able to undo changes, right? They should be able to revert an action. Okay, recognize the source of mistake. Okay, past make it possible to identify mistake when they occur and make it simpler to fix them when they do occur. Okay, so in conclusion, as a designer, you must constantly be prepared to recognize to recognize mistakes that have occurred and do your best to fix them so they do not occur again. Right? People are not always turned off by a product. In many instances, they are irritated by the product design. Users desire sophisticated goods and as that are simple and easy to use. Allow them to quickly access features that allow them to easily access features of a model, right? So designers are innovators, which is why it is critical they adhere to established guidelines to ensure that their designs are not too complicated and that they are error free. Okay. Now, what I would want you to do is I want you to examine your design. I want you to examine your design to ensure it's not too complicated and evaluate its usability and accessibility and get enough feedback and use it to reassess your designs. Yes. So pretty much, thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much, Timothy, for this wonderful and insightful session. Like, I'm sure I've learned, apart from me, I'm sure everyone has learned a lot also. So now we are going into the question and the answer section. So if you have any questions for Timothy on the principle of simplicity in UX design, you can either raise your hand or drop it in the chat box so that I'll be able to answer. So so we were taking while some of the participants were registering, we had some questions that were asked. So I'm going to be
Mhm.
asking Timothy some of those questions. So while anybody on this call, if you have other questions, you can do well to raise your hand, and I'll be calling you later. So Timothy, the first questions we have is the person said, I would like to gain some insights on how design systems can be used to achieve simplicity.
I like that one. I like that one. Okay. Oh, so should I go for it?
Yes, yes, please. How can design system be used to achieve simplicity?
All right. So pretty much, now design system is something I've been passionate about for a very long time. For a very long time. What you need to know about design system is that it's a it helps guide your design. Design system, I call it design language. Right? I call it design language. Why? Because it kind of like when you have a good design system, everybody, every design team member, they are all speaking the same language, right? I mean, down to the same asset is that deep. Okay, you would be unable to distinguish who or who is working on this particular product in the design team. So I mean, it is that it helps you think that much. Okay, so how design system pretty much can help you achieve simplicity. It's simple. What you need to know is that design system is a language, right? That and and that language pretty much. Now think about it this way. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. Say, for example, you are reading an article and um, the first paragraph you read English, then you go to the second paragraph, you read Yoruba, then you go to the third paragraph, you read Hausa. Now, with design system, that is impossible, right? Your designs all the way are going to be seamlessly adaptive, right? Are going to be seamless. Okay, so pretty much what you need to know about design system is that design system has a lot of components and has a lot of bunch of documentations and make sure that every team member on on your on the project are all in sync, right? And now say you are not working with team members. And this is where it gets really interesting. It helps drive consistency in your design. Okay, so I'm going to give you few aspects to design system. For example, we have the spacing, right? The spacing system. We have the typography system, right? We have the color system, right? Without a design system, you won't be able to you won't be able to you won't be able to establish that that system to drive consistency, which means that one of your button is going to be bigger, one of your button is going to be smaller, one of your color is going to be darker, one of your color is going to be light, which of course is going to confuse the users. Now remember, it's the users here that are interacting with your product. When users perceive inconsistency, they start to lose trust, right? They start to lose trust in your product. It's that simple. When users perceive inconsistency in your product, they start to lose trust, and we can't have that. Okay, so the idea is when they start using your product, when users are on your product, what you want to do is that with your design system, you want to help drive consistency, carrying them along until they hit their goal. Okay, so you don't want to discomfort them in any of the of in any of the way journeying to their goal, right? So design system of course helps drive consistency, which of course is every way linked to simplicity. Okay, yeah, pretty much that's what I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I think I got that. And I hope the person that asked the question also got that. So the second question is also that was asked. I also have that same question. So the person asked, how do you create a design that is simple but not boring and repetitive? So for my question, so because you mentioned something about you can adapt to already existing designs. So how do you create a balance between adapting and also making your design stand out? So something like that.
Okay, now while I was mentioning, so referencing back to the principle of design, I made mention of to the principle of simplicity in UX design. I made mention of a particular principle called visibility, right? Now, there is room for innovation. Now, you want to avoid repetition and making your design boring, right? So, trust me, you are allowed to explore. You're allowed to try something different. But while doing that, make sure you have visible information and hints to guide the user where you feel like you are you are tempted to be um innovative, and you perceive from your innovation it's going to take time for users to adapt. So what you do is that you make use of visible informations, right? Like a hint bar, like a tooltip, whatever, right, to guide your users across. Okay, so pretty much that's it. Just Be innovative, but while being innovative, make sure that there are visible hints and information to guide your users.
Okay, okay, that's understandable. Thank you very much. Okay,
Okay.
so anyone that has a question, you can still do well to raise your hand, and I'll be calling you, or you can use the chat box. So the next question I have here: how do I balance simplicity and animation in a design? Simplicity and
Simplicity and animation in a design. I mean, animation is when we say animation, you are trying to communicate an idea. Yes? Okay. So just make sure your idea is communicated, right? And if we want to talk about a whole talk about a whole um, talk about color theory and talking about harmony in animation, talk about a lot of things related to visuals, right? I would say um, go for when you are using animation, just make sure it communicates. It's communicates, right? If it does communicate, it does the job. If your user understand what you're trying to communicate with the animation, it does the job, right? One of the things I will tell you when using animation, if you're starting out, um, I don't think you want to play around there so much, but especially when you are doing real like say you are doing a real life project, okay. But I could say this is something you can experiment on your personal project, right? So when you're working with animation, make sure you communicate, right? And don't do it too much. Just make sure you communicate. If you communicate, you're good. If your user can understand, you're good.
all right. Thank you for that. So the next question we have here: is there a situation where a design can be too simple? Are there some potential drawbacks or risks associated with simplicity in UX design? How can they be avoided?
So there's something I really did not add to my presentation, and it's called cognitive load, right? Cognitive load pretty much is having to present so many information to the users that get them overloaded. Too many things. They're saying too many things, they get confused. So the more elements, the more options you present to your users, the more time it's going to take for them to make a decision, right? So what I want to say is that there's something called importance, priority, right? Now, when you are working on your design, make sure that the elements that you are making available for your user at a glance are important and necessary elements. Remember that there is room for journey, there's room for flow, there's room for the next slide, right? But be careful here. Why? Because you don't want your click rates to be too much, right? And you don't want your designs at a glance to be too much, right? So what you want to do is that you want to focus on important elements or important features or important options to present to users. So saying your design can be too simple. Your design can be saying your design is too simple is saying that your design is less functional, right? So that's what the case is, because if it's too simple, it means that there are some important things that you're not considering, right? So it's about the user again. Make sure that at that point in time, that moment, make sure you present options to them that are necessary to getting them to helping them hit their target, hit their goal, right? So yeah, that's it.
All right. Wow, yeah, I get that. I get that. Thank you very much. So the last question I have here. So looking into like the business side or the business side as a UX designer.
Mhm.
So how do you handle when clients or stakeholders request for to add more features that makes design complex? How do you handle that kind of situation where the client or stakeholder feedback is that add more features or complexity, like maybe it's too simple according to them?
So okay, I would say there's difference in you need to know that there is difference between um, um, I would say UI simplicity and and say UX simplicity. I'm trying to see how I can communicate that. But pretty much, I get paid to make design simple. I get paid the highest. Like, I get paid the most to make design simple. That's what I'm being paid for. Like, users literally come to me and say, okay, this system there's too much going on here. I want this to be simple, right? So what I do is less is more. Less is more. That's what is less is more. So what you try to do is that you try to look at all the options you are given to, like that was given to you, right? And what you try to do is that you try to create a what's the word? You try to create again, you need to establish importance, right? So one thing has to go, everything cannot be there. It's like saying that um you go to google.com and you expect on their landing page you want to see um you want to see Google Docs, you want to see Google Excel, you want to see YouTube, everything. No, you go to google.com, what you see is just a search bar where you can search for what you want. But if you look top right, there's a nested element that is hosting, that other elements, that other features are being nested in, right? So there are ways you can be innovative to simplify your design, right? So whenever you are being given the challenge, or you are given that that or you are being you're given the task to make it more complex or make it feel more. A design does not necessarily need so much elements to feel more, right? It just needs to function better, right? Simplifying is taking away, it's not adding, right? So still look for a way within, right? And try to be innovative with your design, right? You don't have to put everything all the same. You could just nest it somewhere, right? You could just point them somewhere else. It doesn't have to be all together, right? So yeah, there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist as it doesn't really exist.
All right, thank you very much. So just have to understand that less is more. So I got that. Thank you so much. And so I think we all understand this presentation because I'm not seeing any hands. So thank you very much once again, Timothy, for joining and for sharing your amazing knowledge with us. So I would like you to actually drop your LinkedIn accounts probably in the chat box. So maybe anyone that if you have any questions for Timothy, you can shoot your shots, and you can also do well to connect with him and follow his what he shares and what he posts. So it's also an avenue for us to grow. We have to learn from others, and we have to learn from each other. So thank you again, once again, for joining us, Timothy. We really appreciate you. We appreciate you joining. In invite. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much. So to all everyone that joined us today, I'm so glad you were able to join today. I am very happy to see each and every of us, each and every of our names. Our names are looking very nice, even though I can't see our faces. But I'm so glad you were able to join. So this event, this design digest section, is organized by Perxels. Perxels is a design school that teaches people UI UX design. So wherever you are in your design journey, whether at the start, at the middle, wherever you are, Perxels is we have any different packages for different people. So you can do well to check Perxels.com. You can do well to go to Perxels website and check for any the link, check what we have on the page, and I'm sure you find something for yourself. And also, this design session holds every fortnight, 2 weeks, twice a month. So this design session holds every fortnight, and we'd love to have us all join us once again. So Brian, I can see your hands are raised. You can go on.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I have a question. Um since you've had so much experience working for different clients and being a pioneer of simple designs, and has there ever been, in probably graphic works and logo design, if somebody pays you a lot of money, especially in this side of the world, where if they pay you money and you give somebody a very simple design, they'll be like, it's too simple, and they want so much going on and in this graphic work. Have you ever been in a situation where you designed maybe a website or an app and the client says it's too simple? Has there ever been a situation like that? Do you think a situation like that can ever come up?
Yeah. Uh, at the early stage of my career, yeah, I had it like that, right? Until I learned that clients have preference, clients have taste, clients have what they like. They really have what they know what they want to an extent. They don't know what they want, but they know what they want. Now, this is what I do. What I do after I've had several issues like that, what I started to do was I start to like request for. I interview you. I send you a form, a questionnaire, asking you the kind of designs you like, right? So, say for example, you say, can you mention like four logos that you admire, right? Or can you give me like four words that describe your brand, right? Or that describe this business. Okay. So now that way you can now pick the brain of the of the clients to discern the style of design they want. Okay, so you know whether you're giving them I won't really like a lot of aesthetics going on, a lot of elements flying around, or you're just giving them a simple design. People like simple. There are some people that like simple. There are some people that like, okay, I want this to look all sophisticated, right? And a lot. Kind of like, wait, so try to evaluate your client, then decide.
Oh, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. That was really, really helpful.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Timothy, for answering that question. So, is there any other person that have questions? This is your time to ask, and you can get a live answer from Timothy rather than going on the DM. So, you can ask your question now before we end. All right, it's going, it's gone. All right. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of today's session, and I hope you have had an amazing time like I did. Once again, thanks to Timothy. Thank you very much, Timothy, for joining us once again. And we hope to have more of you right here. So, like I said, Perxels is a design school. We teach you UI UX design. And if you are confused about how to start your UI UX journey, you can do well to check us out. You can go to perxels.com and check it out, and also connect with us on our social media pages. And we'll do well to answer any questions you have. So thank you very much, and I am glad. Oh, okay, we have another hand raised. I don't know why you're raising your hand. I'm thinking about it. All right, Stafford, you can go on.
All right, sorry. I hope I'm not too late to ask question.
You can. You can.
So,
Timothy,
okay,
Timothy, can you go ahead?
Yeah,
all
pretty
right.
much. Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right. Thank you. So, for an entry level designers, so you're about to apply for a job now, and um, while you're applying, you see something like, what do you expect your salary to be? Like, what range would you suggest someone fill out for?
I always insist. Personally, I for one, I always insist the clients that the company tell me how much they can offer, especially when I have little or no experience in the industry. Let's say early stage. What I did then, or what I learned as fast as I could, because I was always I've been always interested in the business side of design, so I kind of like studied a little bit in that aspect. So I tried to pressure the client or to psych the client or the company or whoever or the HR team to tell me the expected or how much they are offering based on their financial strategy. That's why I
Yeah,
see. I like what I
yeah.
tell them in
Sorry to
literally.
cut you off.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. It doesn't. I think it doesn't work that way nowadays. Because nowadays I've been applying for jobs, and my first application, I mean, while filling out the form, my name, what I do, my CV, I'll find. Currently, I've been finding this particular question. What do you expect? Like, what salary are you
Oh,
expecting?
okay.
So,
Based
I
on. Oh, okay. I see.
and
I
it's not
see. I see.
optional. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, then I guess you just what you have to do is you might as well need to um you need to evaluate yourself and your value and like based on the value you have, you charge based on that,
Mm.
right? So you evaluate the market, you ask questions around, right? That's what you're going to do. You ask questions around how much you charge for this. You check is it glass door or so. You can get to like see um salaries of different companies like around and you just you charge in that regard. But if it's freelance, now I was speaking in forgive me, I was speaking in the freelance world, right? If it is freelance, I insist my clients tell me how much they can offer, right? After sending
Mm.
them after telling them how much of value I can bring or making them realize of realize how much of value I can bring, I press onto onto them to tell me the budgets they've reserved for this project. Okay, and if they do not tell me how much they are bringing, I'm just gonna like tell them, okay, I'm interested in this project. I've been wanting to work on this project because I found it to be really interesting and intriguing. I think I'll be able to deliver an excellent value to this project. So I would charge you this amount, but I am open to negotiating. Always say it, I am open to negotiating, right?
Shit, okay.
But there are times where, based on your value, if you are top G, you can just say this is my price and then close it. That's where it is. Standardized price. You leave it or you do not, right? And of course, you charge based on client's value, and you charge based on client's value and based on job complexity, based on client value and based on job complexity. So you need to do your due diligence and check out the clients and try to perceive his worth. Now, through doing that, you can now charge. As a creative, there is no standard amount of how much you can charge. You don't put a price on a creative. It's not real estate. It's not it's not food, right? It's imagination. Imagination is priceless. Okay? So you just flow with it, do your research, client value, and then charge. And about putting expected salary on a form, do your research, um, do check on Glassdoor. You check similar companies of similar value to the company you're filling form for. You get to see you get to see tips on salaries that are being paid to the workers. So that way you just put your price, right? You don't want to be too high or you don't want to be too low.
Yeah. Thank you. I got that. Thank you for the nudges.
100%. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Timothy. I really appreciate you doing this for us tonight. You sharing to us your insights and your experience also. So, Adekunle, I think he has answered the question, this question that was asked. So there's no set amount that you can charge. So we have the question in the chat box. All right. So we've come to the end of tonight's session. The end. Like this is the end now. So you can join us. You can just join us in 2 weeks' time. We hold this every 2 weeks, twice a month, and you can check our social media pages for um, our different events. We always post upcoming events on our social media. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody, and I hope you have a great and amazing night. Thank you,
All
Timothy.
right.
I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you. Take
Oh
care,
my God,
everybody.
I did. I did. Thank you so much for
All
your
right.
time,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. I hope to see you all